Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. Sorry I've been a little bit MIA over the last week. It was Canadian Women's Open last week, so I haven't had a chance to really film videos, and then I was going to film some today for you guys, but it was raining, so I'm going to do this short analysis video for you guys, hoping it's going to help. I think it's going to help quite a bit of people as we go over the swing of Jonathan Wong, who is a friend of mine. So he was a very typical, what you would say, average amateur swing. Like he was a good player, could shoot in the 70s, but very typical amateur swing where he didn't swing very fast. He was 80 miles an hour with his club head speed, 105 ball speed with a 7-iron. And he was 5 degrees outside in, 6 degrees down. So he would hit these very low pull draws as a ball flight where it had decent distance just because it was pull draws, but it didn't really react like how you would with a 7-iron, especially if you're a better player like Jonathan, where you were able to shoot in the 70s, but just that ball flight just was never really the best. So I'm going to show you guys how the swing looks first, and we're going to quickly go over to how the swing looks half a year later, just to show you how we progress from one to the other, and really just highlighting the key differences to help you guys get from outside in to inside out, to get you guys some more speed and height on your shots if you struggle with low ball flights. I'm not going to do this like a chronological order like I did with the previous couple swing analysis videos. I really want to just kind of highlight head to head between the old and the new to really highlight the big changes and the big things you guys can look for when you guys look at video yourself. So this is Jonathan on the left here from the down the line. And then you can see the ball flight came up quite low, started a little bit right of line. This is Jonathan on the right, face-on view. And it's funny to see that you can see Jonathan's ball position with the 7-iron is actually quite forward, basically on his right heel as a lefty, but he was still hitting it quite low. And we're going to go over why. As we move along now to his new swing, you can see that's not the down the line. Oh, there it is. That's the down the line. That's the face on. And you can see more speed, ball started the left of the line, drawing back, carried 175-ish. And then on the right, same thing. A lot more explosive again. Started left, curved right, 175-ish. So a lot more speed in the tank, and basically we got him averaging around 118, 119, 120 ball speed with a 7-iron, going from 5 degrees outside in when we started in June. And these videos here were in December, so early December. So basically it's just less than half a year. It's basically half a year where we start in June 27th and now it's from December 5th, and you can see the swing looks way different already. So we went from 80 miles an hour club speed to 90 miles an hour club speed, 105 ball speed to 120 ball speed. We went from 5 degrees outside in to roughly 3 to 5 degrees inside out, and roughly 3-4 degrees down with his angle of attack. So we helped him get tons of height, tons of stopping power with his irons, and it was able to carry over to the driver as well, where you can see here he was actually able to hit 150 ball speed for the first time in his life, where he was going 104. Whoops, let me just move this. So 151 ball speed, 105 club speed, and that was really the goal for us, is to get to 150 ball speed. We started at 130-ish ball speed. And to go from 130-ish to 151 is a huge gain at any level, going 15 plus. So we were really happy with that. So going back to kind of comparing the key things to look for if you were to do this yourself, you can see. So I'm gonna just bring it over to setup a little bit. So setup wise, it's pretty similar. I just had him really make sure he was more in his heels at setup compared to being in his toes. And even though you see how Jonathan's head is still a little bit over his feet, you can see that it's already a lot better than before. So if I go under his chin, you can see Jonathan on the left, his old swing, his chin would be way outside his toes. At least now on the right, his chin is closer to his toes. So that's step one. Because when he's so much into his toes, he wasn't able to load up into his heels as well. He wasn't able to turn as well, and all the weight into his toes just made him go further into his toes, which made him go very steep into the ball. So as we move into the backswing here, you can see Jonathan is pretty armsy. Like, it looks pretty good. Like, the club, you can see the club goes through his hands, goes through his arms, up to the top. Hands aren't in a bad position, but he did that by just moving his arms. You can see, if I put the face-on video on the right, he doesn't get much shoulder turn, and his arm is a little crooked here. His lead arm is a little crooked, and you don't see much of his back at all because he's just arms in his backswing. But now in his new swing, you can see him turning more, where you can actually see way more of his back, way more of his trail of his back left shoulder. So way more shoulder turn. So once we go back to the down the line view, again, he's very armsy with his backswing. And then we had him on the right here turn more in sync with his arms and torso. And I mentioned I want his hands to go more inside in the takeaway. Get his hands deeper earlier as he turns, and you can see as he does that, his arms are gonna go straight back there and take one on the left, where he just kind of picks it up. And then on the right here, I have him pick up less and just have the hands go inside as it stays a little lower, and then he turns up his hand. So even though it looks quite similar at the top, because his arm structure doesn't really change much, I had him turn more and start his backswing a little bit better to help him get more pressure into his inside left heel. So that's one. The biggest thing now is how we move into the downswing. So on the left here, you're going to see his first move is his hands working down and towards the ball, okay? His hands like to go this way, down and towards the ball. So there's not much sequencing involved from the ground up. Because his arms go first, Jonathan was always very arms go, drags the body with, drags the legs with. Whereas on the right here, you can see Jonathan's first move, leg starts going, his hands stay back, his hands stay back, his hands stay back. And at the same point in the downswing, you can see roughly here, pelvis pointing at the ball, his arms are more up and back compared to on the left, his arms are already quite down and out. So you can see his hands are roughly here in front of us, between his shoulders and neck. Back here, his hands are still behind his shoulders. So just having his arms trail his body more to create a bigger slingshot effect, because as his hands are more back, his club head is also more back, which is, again, maximizes that slingshot for us into the ball. And as we continue to move forward into the downswing, you can see Jonathan doesn't have much rotation with his lower body. His upper body actually looks more rotated than his lower. And on the video on the right, you can see more right butt cheek there. His trail arm is still slightly bent, which is nice, compared to on the left, his trail arm is already straight. So most good ball strikers who tend to be on the shallower end will have their trail arm, Jonathan being a lefty, his left arm slightly bent at impact, because if your trail arm is straight at impact, it's going to be quite steep into the ball. That's why he was 6 degrees down on the ball with 5 degrees outside in, compared to being now 4 or 5 degrees inside out, and again being 4 degrees, 3 degrees with his angle of attack. So you can see, because of the biggest thing with the slingshotting, where his arms and hands stay back, and you see how his hands and arms don't come out towards the ball
and down towards the ball much. They stay up and back way more passive, and then they eventually get slung through the ball, which helps him create his speed later in the swing and create more speed just because he's using the legs more, using the rotation more. So again, Jonathan on the left, very armsy, arms up, arms down. And now Jonathan on the right is more turn and get and stretch his hands up and back, and then keep them up and back as his legs start. And you can see transition looks quite different, where it almost looks like a bit of a delay at the top, where Jonathan's legs start going in the downswing while his arms are still up, compared to no delay on the left. They just kind of come up and down. Sound is way different. So if you're looking at trying to change from being a steep outside-in player to a more inside-out player, you would really try to be like Jonathan here on the right, where you try to get your backswing stretched out behind you, and you try to get your width where you can see Jonathan's left arm, his trail arm, is less bent than here. As you can see he's also getting tons of depth, real depth, because Jonathan has actually rotated more on his new swing, where you can see tons of turn here. And you can also see Jonathan is loading more behind the ball. So the ball's, if I go to setup, ball's right there. You can see I'm having Jonathan load off the ball to load the shift his pressure and load into the inside left heel before we start shifting into the ground, which is what we want. Very athletic here. Shift off the ball. Feel free to shift off the ball. And you can see he doesn't even move off of that line too much from his starting point, and helps him get more athletic in the downswing compared to, I'm just going to put his old video on the right. No, that's not it. There it is. Again, and you can see on the right here, not much shift, there's not much turn. Ball position so forward. He just kind of picks up his arms, minimal turn, and then he lunges way into the left. Big move left, which is why he hits it so low. Going back to the left, you can see a slight shift off the ball, and as he loads downwards, you can see there's a little bit more tilt between his upper and lower body compared to before. His upper body was literally on top of his lower body, and we need a little bit of tilt to help deliver a little bit more loft into the ball. And you can see way more extension with his legs. At this point, his extension still wasn't timed as well as it could have, which is great because there's still more speed to have, because you can see Jonathan's push-in hits, his legs haven't finished pushing, and then they finish pushing at the very end. But at least it's already way better compared to on the right. There's no push. His arms just come lunging downwards, and there's no push at all. And you can see Jonathan's finish is very upper body forward, kind of not very crumpled, but kind of crumpled because he's not super tall and extended. You can see his trail foot still kind of smushed against the ground compared to the new Jonathan finish. Way more extended. His upper body is slightly behind the lower body because he's pushed his pelvis forward, and his foot has finished, and his trail foot has finished rotating. He's not scrunching his toes into the ground. So I love all of that. Okay, so going in the finish now, if you finish properly, you should be more like Jonathan on the left, where he's tall and extended, chest out, glute squeeze, pelvis pushed forward, no weight on your back toes, and tall compared to Jonathan on the right with his old swing. His upper body is forward of the lower body. He's not fully extended. You can see his legs are very crumpled there, and his foot's still smushed against the ground. So we don't want that. If you push and extend properly, you should be able to get very tall and extended, chest out, shoulders down, squeeze glutes, squeeze core. So I love that stuff. So going back to the key points is, you can see, I'm going to put the new video on the right, the old video on the left. We really talked about how he transitions. We want to make sure you keep your arms back. And again, the original video, Jonathan's hands and arms come out and down. compared to Jonathan, the new video, his hands at the same point you can see are more up and back at the same point where his lower body is kind of facing the ball. So that's huge. So we really want to create that lag. People love talking about lag, but they kind of attribute it to wrist angles. We want you to think of your body parts as lagging each other. So your legs go, your torso lags behind. Your torso starts catching up, your arms lag behind. Your arms start catching up, your hands lag behind. Your hands start catching up, your club is still lagging behind. And that's what we want to think of lag as, during trailing the movement as opposed to wrist angle. So if you can think about that, get at the end of the day, getting the club and hands trailing your body so you can sling it through the ball with more velocity. That's what real lag is. That's what Jonathan's getting with his new swing. And as a result, you can see, just play it one more time for you guys. Love that movement, love the pace, nice backswing, great legs, explosive.
That's really nice.
120 ball speed.
Wow.
90 club speed. Again, 4-5 degrees inside out, 4-3 degrees downwards with a 7-iron, compared to starting at 80 club speed, 105 ball speed, and being 5 degrees outside and 6 degrees down. So it's huge improvements in just half a year. Helping him hit less club into the green, higher ball flights as well, and hitting it way further.
Is that 120?
The tee. So show you that his driver one more time. On the right here, great numbers, 151 ball speed, 105 club. You can see way athletic through the ball. I love that. So hope that helps. If you guys are steep, outside in, make sure you try to keep your hands and club and arms as back as you can in transition in the downswing, trying to get your legs to go first. I'm going to do more of a step-by-step process with him if you guys want, just to kind of outline the changes. I can also do some more drastic change videos for you guys if you guys don't want. So let me know what you guys want to see. I'm going to do my best to facilitate that to help you guys improve as best as I can. So any questions, just leave it in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, everybody.